We're here.
Hi,
How's
everybody.
everybody doing? Yeah, back for episode 5 of What Katy Draws.
I can't believe it's episode 5 already. So.
Yeah, and you were
they go by fast.
Sick for two whole weeks, I think. Too. You were just deathbed sick. I'm sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think you had I don't remember. Like it was. Did you have a cold? I don't know. I don't remember. That was like weeks ago. It was forever ago.
I have ADHD. I can't remember either.
Oh,
fair enough.
Tell me about it, man.
So obviously we have our friend on Mr. Fish.
A number one fan of this show.
Excellent. And like we're your number 1 and number 2 fans.
Oh yeah, y'all are half my audience right there.
I think you're most of my audience, to be honest, Fish. But
it's all good. And yeah, as you might wonder if you're watching, why is Fish on today? And I think Katy should tell you why, because it's Katy's show.
That's because I have decided to do Fish's character today. So
yes, score 1 for Fish.
Yeah. So it's Caw, is that right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, the mighty Caw, the Cro-Magnon. Total dad joke pun, but I love him. I'm having so much fun with him. I'm actually working on pages right now.
That pun works on different levels too, so I love it. Mm-hmm. It's very clever.
We like
and
puns.
I don't even get any credit for it. Like my buddy Stephen Butler, who's doing a bunch of stuff for Archie right now, he keeps sending me all the Barbarian stuff he's working on for his own project, and he keeps sending me all these old TV clips and movie clips, and he was sending me the Flash Gordon serials, and I was trying to take a nap, and I'm laying down, and all of a sudden, fully formed in my mind's eye, I see Caw, the Cro-Magnon, standing there. I see the pun, the whole 9 yards, and I was just like, damn it, now I have to get up and draw this. And by the next morning, I had 13 issues written out. And so now I'm doing a new book called The Cro-Magnon, coming to Kickstarter.
I wish my brain worked that fast. Oh my God.
Sometimes it's a real pain.
I just love it when stuff like that happens, but the trouble with me is I always forget because I forget to write them down. And it's like, I will remember this. I do not remember this.
No, you won't. You swear up and down you will. It's so clear right now. And then, when you get up, what was I doing? Where was I headed? Yeah, it's all gone. That's why I went ahead and got up, and now we've got a brand new character that people are getting excited about, and wonderful people like Katy are doing art of, which is really exciting. I've been getting all kinds of cool fan art.
I just want to point out something about this character here and like how it ties into something else that Katy did, because a little while ago Katy did a cover for a cover contest for one of Mr. Mike Watson's books, Emerald Quest, and she won.
Absolutely.
And she drew every feather on that cloak by hand, if I remember right. And now look what we're doing here. We are drawing a character with big old feathery wings and big old feathery everything. So
probably a feathery hair as well.
Yeah, he's kind of feathered everything, doesn't he? He's got feathers on his feet and boots and stuff too. Like feathers everywhere.
Just everywhere. Oh yeah, for me, it's kind of nice because it makes like drawing feet and stuff a lot easier if they're big feathery stumps. It's not that hard. It just saves a little bit of time, but it also just looks cool and gives him a lot of weight to his stance, and I dig that too. But
you see, when Mike actually put those characters up, I'm like, does he hate his artists? Because that is gonna take so long to do all the feathers on that costume.
Yeah, and of course Katy can't take shortcuts. No. We gotta draw every individual dragon scale. We gotta draw every individual.
We need to plot out the vein for each one of these feathers, and then where all the little.
Yeah, and each feather is gonna have its own little special splits. Like every single feather is unique. Katy doesn't half-ass. Katy whole-asses everything, I think.
Yeah. Right. Well, shall we start?
Get to it.
Sharing the screen. Before we start, I really want to see show what Fish is drawing on his screen, because that little alien dude is so cute.
Well, let's look at that first then.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's adorable.
How cute he is.
Yeah, this is the cute little baby version of the slaver space pirate that has captured Caw in the first issue. But this is him and his dad going to Caw's homeworld and seeing him fight in the arenas for the first time when he was a kid. And
so
now,
cute.
years later, they've been hired to capture Caw and get him off world.
It kind of has the adorable factor of Baby Yoda.
So cute.
I just love it when I just sketched it out and I did those big buck teeth in his eyes. I was like, oh, that is absolutely the look. That reminds me of my oldest son when he was little. All eyes and
So
teeth.
cute.
So cute.
Yeah.
Well, we'll check in with Fish later too, because I'm sure he'll have this whole fucking page done by the time like we're halfway
Probably,
through the show,
yeah.
and it'll be done, totally inked, fully colored,
everyone-
just completed.
And everyone will see how much faster Fish is than I am. Right.
Hey,
Fish
that's
is
why I'm
faster
the
than
fastest
everybody.
guy. I'm not the most detailed guy. That's the difference.
So I have this reference picture that you sent me, so that's what I'm gonna be checking out. But I also found a reference picture for a pose, which I haven't shown you yet. So how's that for a pose,
Oh,
Fish?
that's badass. Yeah, that's cool. I like it.
So this is from a reference pack. I have far too many of these damn reference packs that I bought on ArtStation, and I will post a link in the comments a bit later. Because
We can
Oh,
put up a
okay.
banner too, like a
Yeah.
ticker. If you wanna
um
just send me the link quick, and I'll make one.
yeah, let's see.
I got
It's-
that kind of time.
Oh, apart from no, I closed all my tabs down. Damn it.
Oh, I feel that in
Including
my
that one.
soul.
Including the one I would need. Right. Is this his? Yeah. Okay. So this is. Damn it. Right. I'll put it in the private chat, wherever that is. Where's the private chat?
It's there somewhere.
Okay.
If you're on the computer, it'll be over on your right-hand side there. Nope, I think you put it in the regular comments, but that's fine too. I can still
Yeah,
get
it's in
it.
the regular comments. This guy does amazing reference packs, and I have bought so many of them. So many. Every time they come on sale, I was like, I'm getting that one. But they're really good quality, and you get like some of them do like turnaround pose of a certain pose as well. So it'll do like a complete 360 turnaround
Oh,
with
that's
different
cool.
angles. Yeah, they're really good, and he's got some pretty good different packs with like weapons and armor and stuff like that. I like the Viking woman. But right, let's get back to where am I?
All right, here's the.
For me, the
Okay.
best part of a good reference photo is like the weight. Like you really get a sense of like where they're carrying their weight and stuff. And like
Yeah.
I know I have a habit sometimes of my guys being kind of magically weightless and they're just kind of standing there. But when you really feel which way they're shifting their weight, I love that.
So the way that I tend to draw stuff out to start with, because this is a very old-fashioned method of drawing, which does drive me crackers sometimes, but I'm not going to do it particularly detailed on this one. So I set it back to 1, so it just makes a single section, and I'll do it for, I don't know, just make the squares a bit bigger, just to give me some sort of, guidelines for where everything is. I'm going to have to change everything anyway with him because the proportions are a lot different on core, but just to give myself a bit more of a idea where everything goes. This is
Always good to get the anatomy accurate first and then do the exaggerating. I know
Yeah.
that's got to be something that they teach in art school if you go to an art school that actually teaches you how to do art. That's not the kind of art school I went to. I don't know about you guys, but art school that I went to
I was
taught
the
me
best
none of these
artist
things.
at my art school. So all of the teachers that I had, and I only had like maybe 3 teachers the entire time in school because it was a small school. They all spent their time standing around me looking and telling me how awesome I was. And, the only real thing I got was exposure to new softwares, like this crazy new software, Photoshop, that had just come out. And I learned a shading technique with a pencil, like doing little circles. That's what I learned in art school.
I
I
learned that my
Wouldn't re-
teacher doesn't actually know how to use the graphic design programs, and so he would come in at the beginning of class and he would tell us what he wanted us to work on, and then he would just fuck off for a half an hour or more. And I knew the software, and I was because I was a non-traditional student. I went back to get my bachelor's degree after several years of already working in the field, so I already knew how to use everything really well. And so all the students were asking me to help. So like I feel like I should have been getting paid to teach there.
Yeah,
I ended
was
up
a bit like
teaching
that
classes.
too.
Yeah, and Katie, you had a bunch of asshole art teachers, didn't you?
Right. Ironically, the one teacher that really, really supported me actually turned out to be the one that I didn't have. He was the head of painting at my school. The rest of them. So I'm just kind of just putting everything. It's a bit kind of crappy just now, but I'm just quickly getting all the proportions in the reasonably the right place. Yeah, my art teachers at art school didn't really do much. They kind of like in life drawing, they'd like say, "Oh, you've got to pose for this many minutes," and then just leave the room.
Yeah,
So,
what is that about? Like, is that it's apparently an international thing? It's not just an American thing, because that's what our teachers painting class, all of my design classes, all of my drawing classes. They would just put a pile of trash on a table in the middle of the room, and they're like, "Draw that," and then leave. It's like, but you're not teaching me how to there's so much shit. Like I have learned so much stuff from Katy teaching me, like directly teaching me, and like from watching your stream, watching Fish and watching Katy and watching other artists. Like I have learned stuff on there that I should have learned in art school. Why don't they teach that stuff?
Well, I did actually
people aren't good teachers.
No, and actually, I got told by some of my art teachers that they can't do what I can do anyway. So it's like, why am I paying you to teach me then?
Mm-hmm.
Because they have the fancy letters behind their name, and that's how you have to listen to them to be able to get the fancy letters behind your name, right?
Like,
well, I nearly didn't, but
at my school, it was a lifetime student, that just one of those people that was just perpetually at college and was never going to leave, that they just hired to be a teacher, and she ended up teaching almost all of my classes. Because of her, they actually had to change and write a new rule at the school that you could only teach so many hours per week, because she taught almost my entire course load.
What did all the other teachers do?
There really weren't any other ones. Like the only other teachers we had were other students that either had just graduated or had been going to school for a long time there. We had a head of the graphics department and then some former students that he was hiring to teach classes and brand new software that they didn't know how to use. And it was a mess.
My school, well, it was actually like a proper fine art school, and they didn't really think I wasn't showing enough. This isn't the direct quote. I wasn't showing enough commitment and enthusiasm to the contemporary art scene. Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Me and contemporary art, which is like we had a lecture called on a painting called 1,000 Hours of Staring, a painting, which was a blank piece of paper. And the medium is stare on paper. I'm not joking.
This is that one. I remember seeing it. Yeah,
thing. It is a real thing, and I'm just like, but it's not a painting. It's just a blank piece of paper. But apparently,
the banana painted to the wall seems better than that too, because at least there was something there to look at.
There was some sort of thing like, oh, the action of staring at it every day for hundreds of hours has fundamentally changed the piece of paper, and it's like, no, it hasn't.
No, that's not how physics works.
That is why I couldn't make it in the fine art scene locally. Like I tried, and I had a lot of people that loved my stuff and wanted to support me and help me be a success, and got me into some galleries and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I just can't stand there while everybody's drinking and go around telling you, what a genius I am, and I'm so beyond what you'll ever understand. But if you spend thousands of dollars on this painting and you spend the rest of your life staring at it, you might get a small glimpse into my genius someday. I'm not that dude. I'm a worker, man. I want to do my job, get paid, go home, play with my kids. Like I don't need you to tell me how awesome I am. I just want to do my job and go home.
Oh, I had all sorts of arguments where it's like, if it's purely decorative, it might just well just be wallpaper and stuff like that. And what I was doing was too commercial. I was like, wait, some of these things are like £50,000 for a bunch of bananas on a windowsill. How is that not commercial? But
That's absolutely commercial.
I know.
But you're missing the point. No, you're missing the point. He taped that banana to the wall to make freaking money. And, to be ridiculous, and because he knew these art snobs weren't going to say it wasn't real art, because then that would mean you're the only one that doesn't get it. So we're all just going to sit here and pretend that it's high art.
You see, the thing is, the contemporary art scene started from a guy who was tired of the establishment. So he basically just wanted to... he put in a toilet bowl into an exhibition as, just to say, well, this, it's art because I say it is, sort of, just sort of thing. And I find it really ironic that now that has become the establishment, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was like started as a...
this isn't really art.
Yeah.
But they're missing the point. And that's the thing. Like, I follow a gallery owner online, and he gives a lot of interesting tips and stuff to artists, and how to sell to your market, and what kind of markets are you selling to, and you need to be making paintings in all kinds of colors because people care a lot more about how it goes with their decor than they really care about the art.
I got told that by a framer, actually, someone who does a lot of framing stuff. Right, so what I tend to do is I'll do it in like dark grey, like this, and then I will create a new layer, and then just do it in black over the top, as a go over it and sort of do a bit more of a detailed thing.
Is that just a personal preference, the way you like to do it, or is
this is just how I do it.
Is there like a specific reason for doing it that way?
Just so it's different color to the underdrawing. I mean, you could also do the underdrawing as
When I'm doing my drawings, I do them in like a bright blue or a neon green color underneath, so that I can put another layer on top with the black inks. So same diff.
Same thing to that. I just do it as in like a light gray and then with black over the top. But you can do it in anything.
Personal preference, yeah. So that makes sense.
Yeah,
got it.
Then we got 2.
Oh shit! I just painted my mouse. Oopsie.
Squeak.
I'm painting some blocks for another project, and I set my brush down, and it kind of did that fun spin thing that they like to do sometimes.
The new painted block Kickstarter from UHS.
I totally haven't ever done that before, or like scratch my face with my paintbrush in the wrong end, and like do the classic artist thing of putting my damn paintbrush in my glass of coffee or water,
or drinking your paint water. Yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah.
You're not a real artist, so like all this art school talk and how they tell us if we are or not real artists, this is coming from actual artists here. You are not a real artist if you've never drank your paint water before. You just aren't.
Unless you know what paint tastes like, you're not really an artist.
I one time I was painting, and you know how you've licked your, like when you get the really tiny brush and you lick the brush to get it to get that really good point.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Don't?
I squeeze it between my fingers. But I know a lot of people.
I had been doing that, and I was doing something with a lot of black paint, and I had this big black smear on my lip. And then the doorbell rang, so I ran to get it and didn't think one bit about it, right? And the person, it was a fucking Jehovah's Witness too, because they're like, start with their spiel as soon as I open the door, and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" I'm like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, you know what? This is the plague. You should leave."
It's the black spot. Yeah, it's no, I had a thing where I had to start wearing like really dodgy looking trousers, old trousers, because I kept wiping my paintbrush on my trousers.
I do
my
that
jeans.
too.
Yeah.
I have like
especially jeans.
Specific paint shirts and specific paint pants. And I'm
Yeah.
wearing neither right now, and like, look at my hands. I'm turning into that chick from Goldfinger, and that's just what's gonna happen.
Right, and I know it's not entirely got the likeness at the moment. It's just getting the sort of rough proportions in.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
man, I learned a long time ago with the paint clothes. Like I could not wait until like something I almost couldn't fit it in anymore, and then I would turn that into my paint clothes. And then I'm going on jobs and pants that like don't cover my butt, and I was like, okay, this doesn't work. So I had to break down and just take one of my decent set of clothes that fit well and was comfortable, and like, okay, this is my paint clothes. And the first time I got paint on them, I was pissed. But man, every job I go to and clothes that fit was so nice. Oh, it was heaven. So I loved it after that.
I
suppose
tried
it's a difficult. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, sir. Yeah.
Well, I was just saying, I made myself a smocky thing with some old sheets that my mom had, and it was great until I spilled a large amount of paint, and then it soaked right through, because sheets aren't known for being thick, and that. But normally that one was fine, and so I made a couple of them, and my mom I don't think she's ever thrown away a bed sheet ever, because she has. I took 3 humongous bags of sheets, because if you're a cosplayer, then you know you don't throw that stuff away, because that is like gold for mock-ups. And
a medieval reenactor as well. So.
Exactly. And you don't throw that stuff away, because you are going to need to mock things up. If you're going to be a serious cosplayer, you're going to have to mock shit up all the time. And old sheets are amazing for that. And I took like 3 bags of old sheets from her. Fucking calls me like a week and a half after I take them, and she goes, I got 4 more now. And I was like, 4 more? And I was looking through the bags that she gave me the first time, and there's legit sheets in that bag that are older than I am. I
think we still have some like that.
There's where are you gonna find avocado green and gold striped sheets? Like, I'm gonna take a picture and I'm gonna show you, because you cannot make this up. Those sheets are from the 70s, and I know it.
We have blankets that color that that have been in my family a very long time.
What's up with that?
So,
and the thing is that bugs me about it is that I bet those sheets came from like Walmart or Target or whatever.
They didn't come from Walmart back then, because there wasn't
probably
one.
not. Yeah, but Ben Franklin, whatever the version of a department store was, J.C. Penney's I think was existing back that far, and Sears, but like those sheets are still in good condition. That's what blows my mind. Like, you buy a set of sheets from Walmart now, you buy the good sheets from Walmart, and you got to buy a new pair and a new set in a year, because they're all worn out in the middle and they're torn. And I mean, to be fair, I think Jeffrey files his toenails to like points, because we have so many spots that are ripped in our bed sheets. And I'm thinking, like, do you just strap knives to your feet before you go to sleep? Like, what is this?
Man. One year for Valentine's Day, me and my lovely new wife, I decided I was gonna go all out, and I bought satin sheets for the bed. And I thought this is gonna be like a weekend thing. They were so freaking nice. We ended up buying a bunch of them and had satin sheets all the time. And they're incredibly warm. I thought they were going to be really cold.
Really? Now that's why I didn't get any of those ever.
They really hold the heat in, because they're so tight woven, like the air doesn't come out. Bad farts come out by your face. But they're really comfortable. They're really slick. I was always trying to keep from sliding out of bed. Your pillows shoot off like rockets. But it was so comfortable. But the calluses on the backs of my heels were so rough that just moving in the middle of the night, I shredded the bottom of them. And, that sucked. And after I destroyed 2 pairs of the like 4 or 5 we had, we were like, okay, we're going back to regular sheets because they're tougher. But
high thread count Egyptian cotton sheets are the best. They really are. And they're quite tough as well. They're not like satin ones.
I guess
every
satin
time
is
I've
technically
done
a
high thread
weave,
count,
right? It's satin is a weave rather than a type of fabric. So I would think that you would be able to get satin weave cotton sheets, but they'd still be slippery like that because that's the whole reason for weaving them like that, is to give them that particular texture.
I mean, and all in all, they were nice. I really did love them. It's just I was tearing them up, and even sanding and greasing up my heels and everything, they're still pretty rough, and it just wasn't worth it. But
so it's either that or you got to wear socks to bed every night.
Yeah, I'm a hillbilly. I can't wear socks and shoes in the house.
I don't like
socks.
I don't. No, nothing on my feet. I once saw
socks,
something. It's like, are you wear socks all the time type of neurodivergent, or a socks of the devil type of neurodivergent? It's like definitely this. I
can't
socks.
stand stuff being on my feet if I can help it. I like
No.
my slippers because they're comfortable and I can quickly kick them off and put them back on, so I don't feel trapped like I do with tied-on shoes. But they're the only. I keep my slippers on more than any other shoe in my life, just because I can kick them off, so it takes away that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's exactly why. Like people they're going to continue to mock me for the rest of my life, probably. But I stand by Crocs because they're dorky clogs, but you can kick them off, and I bet you can't do this with your Yeezy sneakers. When mine get dirty, I can just wear them into the shower or pop them into the dishwasher, and they're clean. And I don't have to do any work.
It's the same with bare feet, though. I mean, you can.
Yes.
See, that's my answer to that all the time.
I like my bare feet best
that way, but I'm like, y'all get it. I don't want shoes on my feet.
Bare feet are definitely superior, but like as I get older, I realize there's the one place that I don't have a lot of fat padding on my body is the bottoms of my damn feet. So now my feet get sore when I walk after if I don't have shoes on or some kind of padding, and I also have like stupidly high arches. So now I'm getting to that age where like I need to have support. So that's a problem too.
Oh, you see, that was
We used to go around with no shoes. Like I grew up on a farm, and like we used to do like full on run across the gravel in the driveway and stuff. No shoes on, didn't bother us at all, and I can't do that now. That's too much.
I'm just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can't do gravel now, but I think that's just because I'm heavier than I used to be.
Well, there's like, it's hard to find gravel anymore. It's hard to find a road that's all gravel here, at least. I don't know how it is in the UK, but now here everywhere is seal coating. They're so it's like really, unless you find a private road, you probably have a seal coated road.
I don't know.
Growing up, I was the child of divorce, so my mom was broke, and every summer I would get one pair of flip-flops, and my feet grew so fast and so big, and my shoes were already so expensive that like she couldn't afford to buy me shoes for the summer and then turn around and buy me new school shoes because my foot was a different size. So I get a pair of flip-flops for the summer, and when they wore out, that was it. So like after 3 weeks, I was barefoot and just running everywhere on the asphalt and everything. And my feet got so calloused every summer. I stepped on a thorn one time that was the thorn itself was a good inch long. It stabbed into my foot deep. And I didn't notice it was there until I heard the clack, 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 clack of the stick on my foot hitting the sidewalk. I stopped and pulled it out, and it kind of gone in sideways in my callus, and pulled it out and kept running.
And yeah, like it probably didn't even hit live skin if you were so used to walking barefoot all the time. Yeah, I mean,
see,
I
my
think
problem
that all
with,
kids should just do that because that's so much cheaper than buying them shoes all the time.
Yeah, my problem is because I live in Scotland. It's the cold.
Yeah,
it's I have had chilblains a few times, but that's not fun.
that's a thing.
Right.
And my parents always got us shoes, of course. We always got hand-me-downs, which you can't really do anymore with cheap stuff because like my mom
it's not gonna last now.
Yeah, like my mom could go to Walmart and buy a set of shoes and expect that the school shoes that my sister was wearing for the school year, that she'd outgrow them by the end of the school year, but then they could be my summer shoes if I needed summer shoes. So like they would last that long, and they don't do that anymore, which
But
just
that was back when those school shoes were like made in America or made in Mexico, and now they're made in sweatshops in China or Indonesia, and they're not as good quality as they were.
Yeah,
And they don't even
cheapest-
cost as much as they used to. They're nice and cheap, but they don't last.
Yeah.
There's-
I would always rather pay a little bit more. That
Mhm.
Terry Pratchett thing, like pay the $50 for the boots that'll last you 10 years.
It's the Vimes theory of socioeconomic unfairness.
Yes.
Um,
God, and he wrote that so long ago, and how it's only gotten more relevant. Ugh,
oh yeah, but I mean, it's been relevant for centuries, right?
a long time,
really.
yeah. I mean, since European civilization became a thing, really.
Yeah. Right, so I'm gonna start trying to change the proportions a wee bit now.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, but
Does
we
have massive freaking like his fists are huge. They're like gloves.
Mhm.
But what we do have is good old, if I can find it, transform, which is one of the best tools. So try and well, for a start off, we'll just start making his arms just bigger anyway. So let's transform scale. So
See, when people think that we're cheating by using digital paint, digital art, this is the most cheating that we can do. Katie had to draw all that shit, but it's just easier for her to exaggerate the proportions of her drawing now because she doesn't have to put a piece of tracing paper down.
And it's really time saving. I mean,
Yes,
Katie
so much.
obviously could draw it bigger, and she could draw 15 times until she got it right and erase and start over and erase and start over. This is
Yeah.
just faster. It just saves time. And
Yeah,
that's
this is the closest thing to cheating that digital artists are actually doing.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I must admit, I do love the scale and rotate thing. I don't know. It's gonna be
Oh
interesting.
man, I love it. I use it all the time.
trying to get the. I'll try. I'll maybe try and thicken the whole thing out, really, rather than just the hand.
He's got Popeye stuff happening with the bottom
Oh, yeah.
part of his arms. but
And
he's
it
got,
gets
like,
really
muscly top
challenging
of
to
his arms,
draw
too.
sometimes too, because like I'm so used to drawing normal proportions doing these things, and then I got to figure out, okay, if he's got this gigantic trash can forearm, like where does that go, and where, like, you bend your arm, well, that's right here, like that's everywhere.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out things like in one scene on the next page, he's got this massive sword over his shoulder, and just trying to figure out him holding that is a whole new obstacle course.
You see, this is where you want to get like actual models made, like even just like a 3D model.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've thought about, I have been trying to learn. Is it ZBrush or ZBrush? I don't know, but I've been trying to learn how to use that, and it's not the easiest software in the world to figure out. But
Yeah, it's not like I went to college and learned 3D design and animation. Like that's what my degree was in.
yeah,
And the software now is like 80 generations away from what I learned in school, and it's just so different. I've
yeah.
tried to like sit down and learn Blender, and I'm like, screw that. It's easier to pay somebody.
And Blender is actually easier to learn than ZBrush. ZBrush is, it's so difficult, and it's like I've been doing different tutorials, and even my one of my friends who is actually like in that sort of field is like, yeah, it's just not. It's so difficult to learn.
Mm-hmm. And like when I got out of college, I could spend every night after work and every weekend studying and learning new software, and I could spend 6 months picking up a new piece of software. I can't afford to do that now. Like
Yeah.
I'm working on comics 24/7, and I can't afford to just take 6 months off and learn how to do that new
I mean, some
software.
of these programs are really, really expensive as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I couldn't stay up with the curve as it was growing over the years, because You know, some of those programs are $1,000. A lot of them are 800, 500. Like, and when you're
Yeah.
like a young man trying to support a family and stuff, like that's not doable.
No. And I mean, starving artists and stuff. It's really, yeah, it's like really for studios and things. I mean, you can get like the ZBrush does. Is it Sculptress, which is there are like free versions of it, but they're really limited on what you can actually do with them.
Mm-hmm. It's really just enough to make you realize that you need to pay for the other one.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and
Ain't that the
do the
truth?
old-fashioned trick of. No, I really wish when you actually flip the canvas, it wouldn't keep the. It would make it easier to actually do that instead of it going the opposite way. It's because I always get really confused. So, Fish, would you like him with his mask thing on or with his actual face?
Whichever way you would rather do it. The mask is kind of a pain in the butt with the beak. Like I always do these things that make it hard on myself, like making Virgil a giant, horny toad. He's got the most complicated head geometry in the freaking world, and it's so hard to figure. I got it now, but man, it took forever to figure out. And the beak is just a pain in the butt. But I mean, you can have the headdress on or off. Either way, that's fine. Most of the first issue, he doesn't have it because it's been taken from him, and he's getting it back. But
I'll maybe just leave it off then, and try and
absolutely fine.
It's
And honestly, I would like more art with him with it off because otherwise people are just going to think that's his head, and it's not.
Yeah.
It is a headdress that he puts on like a luchador's mask, but to him, that's the source of his power, and that's what makes him undefeatable. So
yeah.
he's also not so bright. It has been so much fun going to writing this character after writing Green Zone and stuff for so long, and and I love Green Zone, but it's also like very dense and political, and everything has to make sense, and everything's interconnected, and there has to be real reasons for things to happen. And I can just throw a giant monster in the swamp for the hell of it, and there we go. We got an issue. Let's tear up the monster. It's so
it's
much
a bit
fun.
more like it's a bit more like the old-fashioned style fantasy stuff, like Red Sonja, and it's been a long time since I've seen that, but.
And it's kind of the thing that I miss about playing like regular D&D, because like Katy and I were talking the other day, I've been running a superhero RPG for like 30 years now, and I love it, but it's a little bit harder to just come up with, okay, we're in a dungeon, here's a bunch of random monsters. Like, I can't do that. You can have a really fun time with absolutely no planning in a dungeon and just whatever monsters we pick out of the manual, and we fight those. You can have a lot of fun with that adventure. I can't quite do that. I can come kind of close, but I can't. There has to be some kind of reason that the bad guys are doing what they're doing, and something to go after. And this is just fun.
Mind you, if you really think about it, like, it's like, from the perspective of stuff like goblins and stuff like that, then we are the bad people.
Oh yeah, and that's part of the fun too.
I don't know if you've ever seen was it the Peep Show? It was called. It was by David Mitchell and Robert Webb, and it was a comic, and it's like these two guys that are like the old-fashioned German sort of things, and they're like stood there. It's like, we've got skulls on our helmets. Are we the bad guys?
Mitchell and Webb are amazing.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen that particular episode, but
no, I haven't seen that. But
it's some of that. It's quite an old episode now because it's it's back in the day, but and it's also of course UK thing. So, but what color eyes does he have, Fish?
I've never drawn an eye color on him. I would think it would probably be a really dark blue, I would think.
Yeah.
But like I've never drawn him beyond irises. You're just beyond a black dot, because that's all I hardly ever draw. I don't draw a whole lot of pictures with people close enough that you can really see it. So in my shorthand, it just all becomes a dot.
I mean, I will probably work on the head quite a bit more back when because this is just like a really loose stage at the moment.
Yeah.
I tend to find that with my stuff that it kind of looks a bit crappy until it starts looking good, because it's just the way that I draw.
Hey, no worries from me, man. I get it. Like I used to have to like actively try and keep people out from walking in on murals halfway through, because they always get excited and they always want to come in and see, and then they always get mad because it looks crappy in the middle.
It's the ugly stage, and like all artists have like the ugly stage, no matter how long you've been drawing for. Which is, I think the trouble is when you're learning to draw and it's not working out straight away. That there's a tendency to actually kind of be like, oh, it's not working and it's never going to work. It's like, no, you got to push past that stage. And what you said. And
then there is always that occasional time that like, no, that was just not working. And having to learn the difference and how to differentiate between the two is tough. And I've noticed my problem the older I get is I tend to have a little bit too much trust in myself. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to fix this. This is going to work out. And then I'll spend like 5 hours on something and I'm like, no, that's not going to work. That's just, it's wrong in the bones. And I just kept thinking I could change it, but I'm working off that same foundation and it's just not right.
Yeah, I've been there a few times, but it's all good practice.
And 98% of the time I get it to work and it comes out great. So, it makes me kind of overconfident sometimes.
I mean, having confidence in your own abilities is the actual... It is part of the deal. But... Okay, so... Right, I'm gonna... Go to... Change canvas size. I keep forgetting how to do these things on this, but...
Oh, I just got the... Oh, man.
Make it bigger, and then... Yeah.
I just got the upgrade to the new Clip Studio.
Yeah.
And it keeps doing little weird things on me.
That you're not used to. Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't know how to change. And it's frustrating sometimes. But I know I'll get the hang of it. It's just... Like some things I'm so used to doing it this way, and now I got to learn a different way. And I'm like, look, I'm trying to make money here. Come on. Help a brother out.
I found that some of the brushes like behave a little bit different to how they used to, which it's fine, but it just takes getting used to. And
with as much as I use the selection tool for my vector art, I've noticed like I have to be careful how I have it set, or I will accidentally shift all of the line art when I'm trying to click on something, and it'll select. Before, you couldn't select out of the layer you were working on, but now if I have the little addition on my subtraction, on my selection, which I often do so I can select more than one thing, I can select things on different layers, and then it just selects both layers, and I don't realize it. And when I try and click on something else, I move them. And if I don't realize it, I'll get a long way down the road before I realize everything's out of register over here.
Yeah, I had to laugh the other day when you kept doing stuff on the wrong layer, and I'm like, actually, that's probably less than I do it on the average drawing.
And I usually don't, but I was so tired. That's part of why I color code those those perspective layers green, so I don't click on those and draw. But then I go to make a change on there, and then I just went back to drawing without thinking about what layer I was on, and whoop.
Yeah, when I was working on Miss Medusa, the amount of times I got on the wrong layer and then had to go back and just get really mad at everything. It's let's see. So that's a sort of baseline, I think, at the moment. I might change the wings. But so what sort of terrain is he on? Is like a deserty sort of thing, is he?
It could be whatever you want it to be, because like he's, not to give too much away, but in the first issue, like you can see in the cover, he's being captured by these slavers and they take him off his homeworld, and then he crashes on a new world and gets to explore there and fight the evil king and all the stuff there. And it's going to be everything. It's basically Earth in like a million years. So there's mountains and deserts and Arctic and swamps and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah.
And he's going to have to travel the world looking for all of these MacGuffins and fighting evil and saving the day. And he's not even really a hero. It's just his sheer arrogance of, because the king of this world wants him to bow down to him. Nope. Not, we're going to fight and die rather than do that. And
I noticed one thing, that now the arms are bigger, the legs look a bit weird. So I might have to...
I really wanted to leave the wings on his legs. Like, it's a holdover from an old design for a character that I really loved. But all of my friends that I trust were like, no, you don't need to do that. That's too much.
Yeah.
But I like it. But one of my friends was like, you have to draw that 1,000,000 times, right? And I was like, okay, you're right on that point. It looks cool, but you're right. If that saves me 1,000,000 lines having to draw, that's quite a savings. So
yeah. Fair. So I'm gonna just checking I'm on the right layer before I start getting really into it. This isn't a layer over the top, so I tend to just leave the drawing layer underneath and come in with a bit of color. Now I'm actually using these headphones, I can hear the music a lot better. So I couldn't hear it before when I was using my phone microphone.
Nice. This is a good, nice, soothing, and it loops really well. So
yeah,
I don't notice the end of the song because I'm pretty sure it's only like a 3 or 4 minute song.
Should have found some sort of Conan the Barbarian or Krull or some sort of music like that. That would be cool.
Well, I do have one called Alien Invasion. Let's see what this one sounds like. I turned it up for you. It's a little bit spooky right now. Slow to start.
I have a story about alien invasions, and I was once having a dream that I got abducted by aliens.
Uh-oh.
Which is, something that is not something I dream about very often, because my dreams are more just usually quite weird and fantasy based. However, this day, I dreamt I'd got abducted by aliens, and I'm not joking. My partner of the time had a fucking alien spaceship noise as an alarm clock. I have never got out of bed so fast in my life. I think I just went from straight to standing in about a second. Oh my god.
Oh man.
Oh no.
Man, speaking of which, I had a nightmare the other day. I was taking a nap and I had a nightmare that me and the family were on the run and we're trying to hide in New York, and there's all these people everywhere hunting us, and we can't find any place to hide, and we find this rat, mouse, and cockroach that are speaking to us with the voices of Kevin James and Kevin Hart and somebody else. And I was like, are we in a Pixar movie or what? But they tell me they got this awesome place to hide. So they take us underground into these giant tunnels, and I'm looking at this ancient architecture, and Like, are you sure we can hide down there? And they're like, oh yeah, millions of us are down here. Nobody knows. And this wall falls, and this tsunami of rodents and roaches comes over us. Just mountains of them all over us, and you can't put your hands anywhere or step without grabbing handfuls of them. I freak out, and they're all talking. And that's when I realized I was in a dream, but I could not wake myself up. So I just started forcing my eyes open, asleep during like sleep paralysis still. And I open my eyes, I'm staring face down into the mattress, but the dream doesn't stop. Even though I just opened my eyes, I'm in that that zone right in between. And I sleep with a weighted blanket on and to help with my nerves, and that suddenly becomes a million rats laying on top of me. And I'm paralyzed. So like for like nearly a minute until my nervous system kicked back in and I could move. And when I could, I jumped up out of that bed and threw the blanket off. And then I'm fine. But for a moment there, I never understood why it freaks people out to have sleep paralysis. But I found out about the condition before I got it, so it didn't really scare me. I knew what it was.
Yeah.
But the dream combined with it, that's what freaked me out. And now I get why some people get so scared and, like for that moment, really think that there's aliens or demons attacking them. Because in that moment, like when your mind's still wacky from the dream, oh, that was terrifying.
I had another partner who had that, and he woke up and was like, "There's something in next to the window, the door." And it's like, "No, there isn't." It's like, this is kind of freaky. Please stop. But yeah, he that was a bit weird too. It's like when you're actually experiencing some being sort of next to someone who's having one of the sleep paralysis things as well. It's like as you start questioning what you're perceiving too. It's a bit weird. It's
yeah,
ooh,
it is. It is wild. Now, like most of the time when it happens, like it'll kick in right before I'm about to fall asleep, usually. So like I could be laying there for hours trying to go to sleep, and then all of a sudden my body will go paralyzed. And to me, it's very comforting. I'm like, all right, here we go. We're fixing to go to sleep, baby. We got what we've been waiting on. And I know it's coming, and so it's not scary, but waking up out of a dream and the dream not stopping, that made it very scary.
See, because I'm a bit of a gamer, I must admit, and sometimes have dreams where it's like I'm trying to figure out the controls of the game, but it's actually the dream. So you'd be like fighting, I don't know, dragons or something, and then it'd be like this controller that comes up like on the viewpoint, and you're trying to figure out how to actually do things. It's really weird.
Yeah. Here lately, no surprise, I've been having a bunch of stress nightmares about setting up a Kickstarter.
I'm not surprised.
I can't imagine why that would be.
Just seeing pictures of Kaw and, endless lists of reward tiers and, trying to get everything set up right. And then, oh no, you forgot shipping on all of them and it took you 3 days to get this done. And what are you going to do? And, oh, wait a minute, the backers are waiting on the book and you didn't finish it after all. Turns out it all got deleted and you got to start over again.
Oh, I hate stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Those are the nightmares I have. It's always like just stress-related work stuff.
Yeah.
Have a dream that we're in the swamps being attacked by zombies. Good times. I'm enjoying it. But that freaks me out.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm just going back to this so I can see. So you've got kind of a lighter color on him on the. I'm just going with what colors you've used on your sketch at the moment.
That's a super rough sketch. You ain't got to stick to them.
No, it's fine. It's just,
like that's back when I was trying to figure out like how I was going to shape his body and how I was going to draw his face and stuff. Which is the one weird thing. Like I've got the whole first issue penciled, and everybody's like, "Hey, can I get some, a reference picture to work from, and I'm like, all I've really got is the one good reference image that looks the way he looks now. Because like those, he's still got the wings on his feet, and in another one, he doesn't look anything like this guy. Like he's, I mean, it's the same basic idea, but it's not the same face or body shape or
I'm surprised you haven't just quickly whipped one out, because I've seen how fast you can draw. It's like
that transparent one of him that you've got that's full color. That's the
Yeah.
one that I did of him fully realized in his final form. So I had something to work off of, and then I jumped into all the other characters because I have a bad habit when I do books of like, I'll figure it out on the page. And usually that works out great. Every once in a while, like I start with a look for Virgil, and then I'm like, I could have done that better. So Virgil's like slowly changing as the issues go on a little bit. And like,
yeah.
if you really look, like he lost a finger from like the front of the first issue to the back of the first issue, I think. But he just looks better with, a thumb and 3 fingers. So
Yeah.
I do it that way.
The stuff changes over time as well. It's the stuff that I've been writing in my head has changed so much over the years that it's like, I mean, Laurie's read a few bits of it, but I keep thinking I should like sketch it out as like a little comic thing. There's parts of it I think would work as a comic, but the trouble is I'm really, really bad at naming things. So a lot of the characters in it have got no names yet. They just like this person and that person and the prince, or
this is the villain. Yeah, like
Yes.
I got you. The princess that's coming up in the story, she didn't get a name until like issue 11 as I was writing it out. And then I had to go back everywhere and put her name in so I didn't forget it. Because I would totally forget that it's in issue 11, and I would come up with another name, and I'd finally come up with something that I liked, and so I had to go back and redo it.
I mean, I think in like, wasn't in Word, couldn't you like the old Word process, you could like search for a certain word that you could replace?
I was looking for that feature. And it's there, but it's a lot harder to get to, and it's a lot harder to do than it used to be. And so I didn't do it for that, but I did it for something else. I don't know if it was the name of a planet or something, but it was going to be an easier fix. And
yeah, I mean, I kind of just write it so that it's just referring to, it's like the other person and that soldier and the fat soldier and stuff. It's like they're all gonna die. It's fine. They don't really need to have names. So just gonna
I feel you. I struggle with it sometimes too. Or I'm really bad about naming something and then forgetting, and then going back and coming up with another name. And so like if you go back and look at like certain places, certain sketchbooks where I originally jotted down like the look for Virgil after I had the dream for Green Zone. It's crazy 2 of these books came out of dreams. Some places he's like Herschel, some places he's Ezekiel. Like I used several different like hillbilly names for him, and till I clicked on Virgil, and I liked Virgil, and it was shorter and easier to remember how to spell, and so it stuck. But you can still find it mislabeled on old sketches in different places. I just found one the other day looking through something.
I made a Google Docs document with like the names of characters and stuff that, well, the ones that I have actually got names for. Some of them don't have names yet. They're just like the people that need names. But see that for some reason the one that I'm finding it hardest to actually name is the king, because he's going to be like a prince in the start of the story, and then it's going to flip to when he's an older man, and it's weird that like names that work for princes are really difficult to get to work for kings.
Yeah.
I mean, they must have been like, princes once, but for some reason it's really difficult to get something that works for both.
Yeah, you don't think of like Prince Richard, you think King Richard. Like,
Yeah.
and some names just kind of have that vibe and fit really well for the guy in charge, but not for the whelp that doesn't know what he's doing yet. And
Yeah, I mean, like, I sort of thought of the stepbrother as Lucian, and I think that kind of works as a prince, but it's somehow doesn't work for a king as much. I don't know, but
Can't you just I mean, you're British. You know how they change, like they when the princes and princesses ascend to the throne, they change their names. Like King George the Sixth wasn't king. He wasn't George. He was Albert, right? Was his first name.
oh,
So
I
can't
don't
you
know.
just do something like that?
I
never
was going to
really.
ask if you could do something like that for it,
Yeah.
just to make it easy.
Yeah, I mean, I could, but then that means making two names up. It's like I'm not
Well,
Robert
then you could
Jordan. Robert Jordan.
yeah,
Yeah.
you could stick with the ones that work, like the ones that feel like they work for a king but not a prince. You can make that the king name, and then
See,
just
like
write a
Robert
little
Jordan,
thing
just
in.
in the Wheel of Time, just seems to make names up for characters that don't even need to be named. It's like, and they'll have like full names and titles and things,
Hmm.
and it's like, okay, but we only see them once. Why have you given them that sort of name? It's like,
Oh yeah, we've had people on the show on Five Star Fridays that like I don't want to say they're not writers per se, but they're definitely world builders primarily.
yeah,
And they will go into like hour-long diatribes about the fabric that the suit is made of and where it came from and what gods had to fight over this molecule back in the before time, and the religions that came after that and how they worshiped this molecule and protected it, and the eons of wars that were fought over this molecule that now makes up this fabric, and which is why it looks different every time a different artist draws it. And I'm like, dude, that is too much. Like,
yeah,
So complicated, yeah.
it's magic material. Done.
yeah.
We're good. We all know, fine.
How do they not go insane with all that? Oh man.
Because those
See-
crazy details are the part that they love. And,
That's fair.
like interesting character dynamics and stuff, not so much. But everybody's got their thing.
You see, I have a lot of like I've made my own races and stuff up for this book, so I mean I know so much detailed stuff about that, and I will just tell anybody who cares to listen to me. But it's like the names and stuff not so great, and I've got like quite a very detailed sort of history for them, but not the actual other races around them. Because they've kind of just been background noise in my head for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I'm gonna have like the sort of elves and dwarves and that in it, but I've also got other creatures as well. But they're all sort of like from a very similar sort of background. So there's the elves are really like snobbish and standoffish and stuff, and as they usually are, but they're kind of like not necessarily great people. And sort of see humans a bit as like, well, not little better than animals, really, and a bit,
As don't we all?
yeah. I mean, humans are a type of animal, really, but I'm starting to kind of build up the face a little bit. I'm still not sure I'm entirely happy with the face, but we'll keep going back to it. Trying to give him a bit more of a primitive sort of look, like you said.
Mm-hmm. That was a really hard thing for me to get down, because like I wanted him to have a primitive look to him.
Yeah.
But not like, me Og make fire. Like I didn't need him that bad, but
No.
like he definitely needs to have a primitive vibe, and his people are readily enslaved on their planet. Like it's just always been that way, and they like to fall on the thing that, oh well, they're not as evolved as we are, because they obviously look more, primitive and Neanderthalish, and they're extremely strong and whatnot. And they make good workers that way. But anyway, he gets sent into the arena, and supposed to be fodder for the arena, and ends up becoming the most powerful warrior in the arena. And suddenly all the people love him, and then suddenly all the other Cro-Magnons on the planet are like, if he can beat up everybody that comes at him, why are we slaves? And why does he get to fly and we have to have our wings banded so we can't fly? And and if you break your bands and get caught flying, they'll end up ripping all your feathers off, and you just got these little nubs sticking out, which you'll get to see in these pages I'm drawing. And they're like, how come he gets to do it and we don't get to do it? And why, and he can beat everybody that way with his wings working, and you all have the advantage, and we have to walk everywhere because everybody else on the planet is also evolved from some type of bird. And there's like the owl clan and the red-tailed clan, and there's even like the Thunderbird clan from the plains with these gigantic wings, and then this ruling class of 6-winged angel characters that are more technologically advanced than everybody and keep everybody under control with the fact that they have the technology. And suddenly he's leading an uprising without even meaning to, and that just won't stand, so they have to get rid of him, and thus the book starts.
I mean, if they're sort of related to birds, they could either have like quite dark eyes, or they could have like bird eyes. So if you give like like that sort of color with the dark pupils. So just as a thought, like a hawk sort of thing, or they could just go back to dark, But it's I the thing that I'm writing there, I've been like a lot of the history that I find really interesting is sort of Neolithic. Stop kicking my laptop. Sorry, I've got a dog laid next to me. It's like Neolithic sort of Iron Age, Bronze Age sort of, well, not even Bronze Age, Stone Age and Bronze Age sort of stuff, which I think is really quite interesting. I've been using a lot of that to go into the sort of inspiration for my thing I've been writing. Sorry, the dog's just woken up. He's distracting me.
As they will do.
Yeah, it's because he's quite big. He's just kicking the laptop out of the way because he's stretching.
Man, my Bogo, my wiener dog, is so jealous of the laptop. Like, he so wants to sit right there where it is, because obviously it is an important place that it gets to be in every day, and he doesn't. So he really wants to be right there.
Yeah. Oh, Hazel's like that. If Hazel comes in, she just like shoves everything out of the way and climbs up on top of me, and it's like right in my face. But she's only done it a couple of times when I've been on stream, because she's just like appears like a hurricane and then disappears again. So that's why she's Hurricane Hazel.
I was just about to say.
So you said it was quite dark shadows around his eyes, did you say?
Yeah, I tend to keep his eyes really recessed, and
yeah,
to kind of enforce that brow.
Yeah, I'll have to look up like heavy browed sort of reference images, because I mean, as good as some of these reference packs are, they've got quite a limited sort of range of models.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll keep flipping it as well for now. I may have to come back and finish.
Funny enough, I'm always thinking of my buddy Kevin that I used to work with at the sign shop. Because, I mean, dude looks straight up like a Neanderthal. I love him, and he's just the sweetest, whitest dude in the world. But he had this freaking brow ridge on him that was just massive. And
he probably's got the genetics for it. I mean, it's like quite a lot of people do have the genetics of it in certain populations. But they're actually thinking that Neanderthals were actually a lot more sophisticated than we give them credit for, by a lot of the sort of discoveries they're finding around the caves that they lived in and stuff. Really interesting. See, one of my favorite books, which is, I must admit, was quite an experience when I discovered one of them when I was 12, was the Earth's Children series by Jean M. Auel. And it was the Clan of the Cave Bear. They made a film out of that. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
Clan of the Cave Bear.
Yeah. I've read Clan of the Cave Bear too. Yeah.
The Valley of Horses is the sequel to Clan of the Cave Bear, and I picked it up in a charity shop because it had horses on the cover. And it's somewhat explicit. I was about 12 or 13. That was educational. Yeah. It gets to the point where you have to skip through the sex scenes to get to the interesting part because they're just doing it so often. It's like, oh, not again. But actually, some of the stuff
come to know why we are called the Clan of the Horse.
Yeah. Well, not quite, but it was back in the early days of those romance novels, but set in a sort of prehistoric. But I will give her something; she really did her research, and the research she did at the time was really good research as well. But I was like, when you read it now, you know a lot of stuff about the there's discoveries. It's not quite as accurate now as it would have been when she actually wrote it. But I mean, she used to go to the caves and everything and see the cave paintings and all sorts of things. Yeah, that was one of my. Yeah.
That's the thing. It changes so much so quickly. You can only hold them to so much of a standard. And
yeah, I mean, she's like, she used to sort of say the Neanderthals, or they would communicate in sign language. They'd communicate in sign language and stuff. But they found now that they probably did have some sort of vocalizations as well. So it's and there's all sorts of things that they found in these caves that are way more sophisticated than they kind of originally gave them credit for. But no, there was what was the other one that I was reading? Ancestors by Professor Alice Roberts, and that was a really good one because there was this skeleton that they found in this cave, which is like, oh yeah, and this guy that had actually discovered it had created his entire story and called her the Red Woman and stuff, because like she was obviously selling herself to the Roman soldiers and stuff like that, and it's his entire thing that he'd got in his head, which was like what this person was. But when they actually carbon dated, they got the carbon dating and everything. A, it's a man, and B, it's like several thousand years earlier than what what this guy actually thought it was. So it's just like this is it was just kind of funny the way that this guy had got this whole story about this skeleton up in his head, and it's completely wrong.
That's the magic of human brains too, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the part that became very frustrating for me after a point, was when I learned all these, facts as a kid. They were taught to me as being absolute facts. We know this to be true. This is the way it is. Science has proved to us that this is what happened. This is the way it was. And then to grow up and realize that, a lot of the time it's a guess at best. It's some dude sitting around in an office saying, I bet it was like this. And somebody else is like, you're probably right. And so they write it down, and that's what it is now. And, it's very rarely that you can go back and test a whole lot of things, and
I mean, it's sort of, a lot of it is just a working hypothesis that will change when they get new evidence, but it's, it does sometimes change.
It's very frustrating.
J-Man just popped in and said, hey, everyone. And
hey, J-Man.
J-Man, Katie's doing some fan art of Claw the Cro-Magnon right now, so for fish here, which is why we got fish on here, and we're talking about cave people. Close enough.
Yeah, it's all related. Yeah, that's why.
Y'all are talking. I'm just kind of listening and giggling here and there. I'm not really talking right now.
You can talk about cave people all you want.
It's it's I'm glad, J-Man. I'm glad you got to get here because usually you're always at work when stuff is happening. The daytime shows, the art streams that we've been doing, like Fish's art stream and Katie's art stream, and always while you're at work, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like, we had a bitch of a time trying to figure out when we were gonna do Katie's stream, because like on Katie's side of the world, everybody's asleep, and if we were to go any earlier, then everybody over here is still at work. It's just you can't win.
Yeah, and I think if it was slightly later, I'd be starting to struggle a bit some days. Because I mean, I'm pretty nocturnal most days, but like yesterday, I was so tired, I was kind of just dead to the world by about midnight, which is unusual for me, as Sarah can verify.
Oh yeah, I was screwing up on my last show because I was so tired, and that's unlike me usually. But I ain't been getting a lot of sleep because of being sick. And
Yeah.
Love
I
it.
haven't been-
When you're sick, that's when you need the most rest, and that's when you get the least. I love it.
Yeah, I was getting very little sleep over the last few days because of the dogs. Because, yeah, I've got a male dog who is very determined. He's going to go and make
Woo
babies
his
with the other,
woman
make
there.
babies with the female dog, who is unfortunately now coming off season. Because God, the howling was just, he hasn't.
Season
Today
sounds
he ate.
so much nicer.
Yeah,
If I said
he,
that here, nobody would know what I was talking about. But that's so much nicer than saying she's in heat.
Yeah.
I like that.
She's coming off now, but it's I've just kind of been having to take him out of the house and try and figure out where I can take him, because he's also quite dog reactive, so that's kind of fun to actually try and find somewhere where you're not going to get approached by other dogs. So I took him to a nature reserve yesterday, which was quite nice, and it was nice because I was like sat there with like there was not a single sound. There was nobody there because one of the hides you have to drive through an old abandoned airfield to get to it, and it was like 5 p.m. when I got there, so there was just everyone was having their dinner or whatever, and they'd just gone. And I don't think people go to that one much often, but it's a really cool like walk up to the actual this particular hide, because it's like a raised boardwalk through this sort of really boggy fen-like area, and that you go through these really gnarled, twisted, moss-covered trees on this little path that's kind of like, it's like it almost looks like one of them fairy paths that you get told not to go down because you'll never come back, that sort of thing. That was quite cool, but unfortunately I left my phone in the car, so I didn't actually get any pictures of it because my big lens was too big, but I can always go back.
Didn't get kidnapped by the fairies because you forgot your phone.
I have seen owls and stuff. Yeah, I mean, these days, who wouldn't want to get kidnapped by the fairies?
Oh,
It's got to be better than
It
some of this.
can't be worse than this, right?
Yeah. Well, it probably could, but
Whatever
you do,
he is usually at work, but he snuck in yesterday to watch Fish for a bit. Which I was there. I had the show on the whole time yesterday, but I was like up and doing dishes and stuff. So I heard a couple of points where I was like, "Oh, I should say something," and then I was like, "Nah," because then I gotta dry my hands off, and that's just too much work.
I was in the middle of nowhere, but I did watch it when I got home. So
appreciate that. I've been surprised how many watches we get after the fact on them. Really, I did not expect that. But
yeah, it is interesting. I noticed that on Katie's too. Like, we'll get a few people watching while it's live, but then like people will go back and watch it after the fact, which is really cool.
It's probably too late for a lot of the people that's in my time zone.
Yeah, that's fair.
Probably.
But I mean, if everybody was getting any kind of usefulness out of it to watch it after the fact, because let's be honest, live streams are the most fun when you are actually watching them live and you can participate. That's the whole point of a live stream, right? Like
even if I missed Four Tales, I still go back and watch it, and I'm still like excited and leaving comments, but nobody's gonna see it. But I still do it.
Yep, that's how we are. I watch. I try to watch at least I guess this Agency Geekdom has a lot of people, a lot of shows now, and I don't get to watch all of them, but I always try and watch at least one of everybody's every month. And then there's like, there's some of them that I watch every time they're on, even if I can't watch them when they're live. And so yeah, like it's fun to watch, but it's just not as fun as when you get to participate live.
Mm-hmm. Like, I like watching Moana Nui's podcast, but it always comes on like right when my wife's getting off of work.
Mm-hmm.
So like often at best I can do is say, hey, and then I got to go because my wife just got home. And I miss so much time with her as it is already in here streaming. Like, I need to be out there.
Yeah.
Fish, what is this like? This one at the bottom, is that the sort of footwear that you're going for now? The sort of feathery stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yo, yeah, that's
but with feathers.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I honestly, I don't even know yet. I have not fully decided if it's just feathery boots or if that's his feet. Because part of me, like, would really like to, like, in issue 5 or 6, just have claws pop out of that and out of nowhere and be like, what the hell? I think that would be so awesome. But
when he's flying, he could just like all of a sudden
just like
snap and like snatch somebody up.
Where has that been all this time? I just
so
think
cool.
that would be so much fun to do. Just for that gag alone, I almost want to make it his feet. But and if it's not his feet, who did he skin to make the boots? That's what I want to know, because like his back has that same kind of feathers on it. His loincloth is the same kind of feathers, but it's an actual like loincloth. It's not just his pubes.
Maybe it's like that Pokemon.
I could do that, but that would make me very uncomfortable for that to be the truth.
That Pokemon, which Pokemon is it? The Cubone that wears its own mother's skull? I mean, it's gotta be, it's gotta be something like that, right?
Well, he did fight in the arena for a long time, and he has slaughtered a lot of other Cro-Magnons in the arena for sport for the other races. So
it'd be like that
J-Man
bloody
said
coffin
Fish
lid.
and I are always talking about He-Man and Thundercats, etc. And Fish has sent me pics of Masters of the Universe figures at the store, and I send pictures of the figures that I buy.
Oh yeah, every time I see a new figure, it's like, oh, J-Man like that.
Yeah.
Just thinking of him like wearing like trophies and stuff, it's just reminding me of that damn coffin lid that's in my D&D group. Like one of my D&D group he took a coffin lid after a fight with some skeletons, and this coffin lid now has teeth embedded in it. It's now a +1 coffin lid, which he can barely use because he's a warlock and he's got no strength. And it's just like every time we fight something, it gets something else added to it.
Now you got werewolf teeth on it. You got vampire teeth embedded in it.
We haven't quite. We're only on level 3, and I'm surprised we've even got that far. To be honest, we decided to fight a dragon this last thing. Yeah. Well, no, that's not true. We were going to go and talk to the dragon, but our character, who is actually called Death, just walked into the tower and says, I am Death," to a dragon who took it as a challenge.
J-Man said Caw is Stratos on steroids.
Not a bad comparison at all. And actually, I've got some characters coming up that would fit flawlessly into like Thundercats. There's a team of bounty hunters that are going to be sent after Caw after the Angelic Council finds out that the ship crashed, and they got to send people out there to make sure the job's finished, because they can't have Caw come back and lead a rebellion that puts their way of life in danger. And so you've got these, most of them are avian characters from different tribes, which is fun. But then there's also like an insect bounty hunter and a lion bounty hunter, and keep it interesting because there's more than just this planet out there willing to take a bounty.
Nice.
Trying to think of what to do for the background, and could be.
I tell you, trying to draw crowd scenes when people can fly is a pain in the butt. because like
I
you
don't know. I
can't
think
just,
I'd quite like to be in a crowd if I could fly, because then I'd be able to get more of a vantage point.
well, and that's the thing. Like I'm having to rethink like architecture and stuff. Architecture. Like how do they get into these buildings? What would the buildings look like if you could fly? And I like ask my wife these questions, and she just stares at me like I'm an idiot. I'm like,
Balconies,
I
lots of
don't know.
balconies.
Well, that's my
Yeah.
thing. Everything would be really tall, and you would have lots of very tall openings so that people could fly in and out above each other and below each other, and but they still have to have roads and sidewalks because they can't let the crows fly. And
Yeah.
so all your worker class has to come in through the bottom of the tower and then climb a billion stairs up to the top of the tower where everybody
Well,
is.
if they have like clawed feet, maybe they have perches instead of seats.
That's an interesting idea. I mean, they're, as I've been drawing them so far, they're mostly human with wings and feathers, but like I said, I kind of want to do Caw that way, so who knows? Or
Was
if
that?
I did, oh man, I've got this one scene just based on the whole group of crows thing, and they've got like a law that crows can't gather into groups after the rebellion. And so like at one point on the home world there's going to be these explosions and stuff, and they're trying to shuffle all the crows into places to collect them so that they can't like be out there wreaking havoc. And they push all these crows into one room, and then two guards go in and lock the doors, and and they're throwing their weight around that they're in charge and they got the laser guns. And then it's like, this is the day these guards found out why you call a group of crows a murder. And you don't get that many of them in a group together, and they just slaughter the guards.
Nice.
But that's just
Nice.
such a good line. All
Yeah,
right,
it
Jay,
is.
man. If Caw was a
The,
live action movie, what movie studio do you think would do the best to make that film? Oh my god. Oh my god. Man.
You stumped him.
I mean, I wouldn't ever want to sign it over to them because then it's gone forever. But I would have to think Disney would have to do the best with their live action CGI stuff they're doing now. Like, because Caw is so inhuman shaped, like, I think they would probably do the best job of like having an actor act it out and then motion capture it and make it into a figure that actually looked like Caw, but also like didn't look ridiculous on screen.
I don't know. I think James Cameron is pretty good with the Avatar stuff for
Yeah.
the actual motion capture.
That's true too. They did a really good job at that.
I still haven't seen the second one yet because I haven't been able to go upstairs to actually get away from the chaperoning the dogs for like the past, since it got released. So, I was going to go to the cinema and see it, but I live 50 miles from a cinema, so yeah.
We were just thinking about going to the theater to see the Mario movie, so that's tells you how much I care about Avatar. I don't think that I've actually seen the first one. At least not all the way through.
Pretty.
Really?
What I love about it, I mean, there's all sorts of things you can say about the storyline, but what I really, really love is the world building. It is such a, it feels like it could be a real place, and it feels so alien as well. I actually saw it at the cinema twice because I just loved the actual landscape and the flora and fauna and everything. I just loved it. The actual world building. I wasn't really caring about the storyline. I was looking at all the pretty creatures. It's
Awesome.
like,
Well, I know
Yeah.
enough about the storyline to know that it's kind of a blah. Like the storyline's not special. It's a
No.
same kind of thing that we've heard a million times, but it can still, that's not something that should make you not want to watch a movie, because all stories are recycled stories now, so you might as well go and see them for the way that the story's told rather than the story itself.
I suspect a lot of people didn't go to see it just because they just wanted to say they weren't going to go and see it, because people are like
the
that. It's like,
the hipster auntie. populist thing.
Yeah,
It makes
it's
sense
like
up
all these.
here.
It's like all these people that like go on about the Rings of Power, and it's like, do you really not like it, or are you just saying that because it's cool to say you don't like it?
It's not
like,
cool to say you don't like it though, unless you
Yeah.
genuinely don't like it. Like, don't shit on things just for the sake of being contrary.
Yeah.
I haven't.
no,
I didn't
it's
go and
cool.
see
It'll
it
get you lots
because
of likes.
I didn't go and see it because it didn't. I figured like I was like not that interested in the. When I saw the previews and stuff, I was like, oh, this looks alright, but not good enough for me to go see in the theater. I'll just wait until it comes out on video or pay-per-view or whatever. That was Jesus, that was like 2009. Oh my god, so long ago. And yeah, so like I think that I've seen bits of it. I've seen much of it, but just I've never just sat down and watched it. And now I've got to sit down and watch 2.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And the
It's not.
second
I don't
one's a
have
long
anything
one as
against
well.
it. I am 100% like it just didn't grab my attention enough to
you can
make me
free
go, oh my
streaming
god, I
things.
have to see it.
Yeah, you can get it on free streaming things now. The first
Yeah.
one, and it's worth seeing just for the actual landscape building. It's like one of the courses I was doing for ZBrush. He was like, you need to go and watch the Warhammer movie because the actual 3D models are really good on the
nice.
orcs and everything. And I'm like, I've heard the story's not great, but I'll give it a go if he says to look for the models because it is on Netflix or something at the moment. So
Awesome. Well, we're at like an hour and a half now, and I just was thinking like I gotta stop for myself. Like if y'all want to keep going, but I gotta go like make supper and stuff. So.
Oh no, I mean I think we can probably leave it for now, and then I can maybe.
It looks really good so far. Like I am surprised you got so much. Like it's come together very well, and you got a lot done.
Oh yeah, I'm loving it. It looks good. I'm sorry I've been.
That's all
I'm
right.
sorry I've been looking away, but I'm working on my own pages as well because I've got so much to get done to get this Kickstarter.
Oh no, that's fine.
Fair enough.
But
well, so before we quit for the day, we should check in and see how far Fish got on his screen here. So not the whole page, but like plenty.
Well, it's so
cute.
detailed, and like we've got a Cro-Magnon fueling up the ship, but he's got to be chained down so he doesn't fly away. And of course, we got to get all these little guys in the right proportions, and then you got to have all these little guys back here, and you've got somebody from the Thunderbird clan with his wings too big, and all these little guys, and it just really adds up.
Trying
to
I
get.
really like the little dude. The little kid, child one.
Yeah, it's very cute. I mean, it looks great so far.
You need to make a sticker of the child one for as part of your Kickstarter campaign. Just a the little dude.
You want a cute little chibi sticker of the really crappy guy from the first issue. It's a slave seller.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but it would probably sell like hotcakes. Absolutely.
Yeah,
my god!
It doesn't matter if they're monsters if they're cute. They're
little
cute,
claw with some big eyes and a little stubby sword and little fluffy wings would be very cute. The
People
little
like
baby
stickers.
Virgil I did for stickers is the cutest thing I've ever seen, and he's just like grrr with his little stubby claws and he's so precious.
Do him as a pen, like a little pen as the chibi core.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
Well, all right. So that's how far you got, and that's how far Katy got, and I think everybody looks so awesome now.
It does. It looks really good.
I don't know, Katy. Or do you want to hang on to the work on it? Work on again next week, or you want to continue to work on it off stream and then
I'll think about it because I'll think about it because. I mean, I kind of was going to do that with the Cthulhu thing as well, but I got distracted. So,
and that didn't happen. Well, to be fair, that was when you got sick too, and we ended up like 2 weeks of no drawing at all. So that doesn't count.
Yeah, I think I was just, like half dead, but I am remembering to save this so I don't close it down. And
good call.
Oh yeah, I just did it too because I was like, while I'm sitting here, before I get up and walk out of this room, I need to save this because he did come out good. I don't want to lose it.
My laptop has a tendency to just drop the battery out of it, so.
Oh, awesome! Yeah.
It did that, and it took 3 hours for it to sort itself back out again. It went into a loop of like, checking for damage and then like attempting repairs. I was like, oh no, what am I going to do if I can't get my laptop to turn back on? But actually, eventually, it started back up again because especially the HP laptops have got this like they're renowned for getting into the loop where they can't stop doing the things. So I was like, please don't do that. But yeah, because I need to back up my UHS folder. So it's like,
that's got to be a big folder by now.
But... yeah, I've just got quite a lot. Oh.
But anyway, yeah, Fish got a bunch done while we were chatting, and you got like your piece is got some really good progress on it, and
it got further than I thought.
It's fun to watch it start from nothing and get to that point. So
yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's the detail stage that takes the longest time with me, but I mean, I'm probably gonna like have a break and then go back and look at it and I'm like, oh no, I need to change everything. So
I'm pretty proud of the way my first digital painting came out. It has nothing compared to Katy's stuff. Like it's not even, we're not even talking the same kind of category. But I am pretty proud of how it came out, and it came out a lot quicker than I expected it to. And I could use a lot of the techniques that I was already used to using, and just applying the same texture to all of my brushes made it jump so far ahead and looking cool. And
yeah, it does look really good. Yeah.
Anybody who's watching, like, I'm sure, well, Fish, you've got your show tomorrow, so I'm sure we can just pop in there and you'll probably show it to us again at some point, because that's when
absolutely.
I saw it.
I'm going to keep showing
on Tuesday.
it off.
Yeah, just show everybody all the time.
Several different versions of it. Like, I made several versions for TikTok that follow different chunks of the painting time lapse and then do the little video at the end, so I could get as many posts out of it as I possibly can.
Nice. So go check the TikTok out too. Yeah, which you're Mr. Fish Comics on there too, right?
Yep. Mr. Fish Comics everywhere. Makes it easy.
And I'm sure, well, Katy, you got a TikTok too, right? So like we should see some
it's got 2 videos on it so far.
Yeah, I did notice that.
The trouble is,
but they're really good videos.
The trouble is, my laptop can't handle the size of the time lapses, especially when I'm doing a video at the same time. You know,
we'll see. But
oh, that's a problem. I've got so many time lapses saved on here that my memory is just about completely gone. I'm constantly having to move stuff off of the computer into OneDrive just to get it off of here and store it on this external drive and stuff to try and make room, because I fill up this thing fast. Those files are huge.
Yeah, they are.
I just fill up mine with photos. So many photos of birds. Yeah.
So, well, yeah, I guess we'll decide if you want to work on Ka more later. We'll at any rate, next week on the show we can tell everybody who watched this progress get to this point. You can give an update next week.
I might be able to do some more to it, because I mean, I could probably show how I do feathers. So
yeah.
That'd be cool. I'd love to watch
there's
that.
a lot of them, so. All right, but in the meantime, for everybody who's watching live and everybody who's gonna watch later, thanks for watching.
Yep.
And
thanks for watching.
We'll see you next week. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.